Good day, everyone. So, our topic for today is all about academic writing. So, what is academic writing? Academic writing refers to a style of expression that researchers use to define the intellectual boundaries of their disciplines and specific areas of expertise. So, it is designed to convey a guided meaning about complex ideas or concept for a group of scholarly experts. So, academic writing is a formal way of writing that teachers, students, and researchers use. It helps them clearly explain their ideas and show what they know in their subject. This type of writing is used to communicate difficult or important ideas in a way that others educated people or experts can understand. Next is stylistic elements of good academic writing. The overall view. Unlike journalistic or fiction writing, the overall structure of academic writing is formal and logical. It must be cohesive and possessive, a logical organized flows of ideas. There should be transitional devices or narrative links between sentence and paragraphs. The introduction should include an explanation of how the rest of paper is organized and all sources are properly cited throughout the paper. Number one is clarity. Write so the reader immediately understands your point. Use straightforward sentences. Say exactly what you mean. Example of this is the result demonstrates a significant improvement. Number 2, conciseness. Use fewer words without losing meaning. Remove unnecessary phrases in order to. It's important to note that avoid repetition. Example of this is the experiment lasted 3 weeks. And the last one is formal tone. Academic writing avoid casual or conventional language. No slang, avoid I think, I believe, unless required in reflective papers. Example of this is many researchers argue that climate change presents significant risks. Next is language. Use language that fits your audience and purpose. Inappropriate language determines credibility. Key focus is on formality and conciseness to match audience expectation. Use clearly topic sentence for easy reading. Number 1. Use formal words. Avoid slang or casual expression. Casual, kids, academic, children, casual, a lot of, academic, many or numerous. Number 2. Use precise vocabulary. Choose words that are specific and exact. Vague, things change. Precise, the temperature increased or the policy was revised. And the last one is avoid emotional or biased language. Academic writing should sound neutral. Emotional, this is a terrible idea. This is academic tone. The overall tone refers to the writer's attitude or personality. Academic tone is the attitude or voice your writing uses. It should sound professional, objective, and respectful. Number 1 is formal. Use professional language. Avoid slang, gonna, stuff like that. Avoid overall casual phrases. Basically, like that. Example is the results are unexpected. Number 2 is objective. Focus on facts and evidence, not personally feelings. Avoid I think, I feel. Support claims with idea, logic, and citation. Example of this: the experiment achieved the expected outcomes. The next one is consistent and professional. Maintain the same tone throughout the paper, no shifting from. Next is academic diction. Refers to the linguistic choices writers make to effectively convey an idea or a standpoint. Avoid using the following: slang words, cliché phrases, metaphors or figures of speech, colloquialisms, jargons, big words, meaningless words, platitudes, narratives, construction and text message or short message service spellings. Dictions means words choice. So, academic diction refers to choosing words that are formal, precise, and appropriate for scholarly writing. Number 1. Precise and specific words. Choose words with clear, exact meaning. Budge. Things change. Academic. The temperatures increase. Number 2. Unbiased and neutral words. Avoid emotional, judgmental, or exaggerate language. Emotional. This policy is terrible. Academic. This policy has several limitations. Avoid slang, idioms, and constructions. These sounds informal and are not suitable for academic writing. Slang, kinda, gonna, stuff like that. Idiom, a piece of cake. Construction, don't, use, do not. In short, academic diction is formal, precise, objective, discipline, appropriate word choice. And the last one is punctuation. So what is punctuation? Punctuation is to establish the narrative tone of the work. Scholars rely on precise words and language. Thus, punctuation marks are used very deliberately. So, example of punctuation is colons. Should be limited to introducing, announcing, or directing attention to a list, a noun or a noun phrase, a quotation or example explanation, joining sentences and expressing time in titles and as part of other writing conventions. Colon used before a list, used before an explanation, used before a key point. So example of colons. The study examine their variables, age, height, and weight, like that. And the other example of punctuation is hyphens. Should be limited to connecting prefixes to words like multidisciplinary or when forming compound words or phrases like on site and right off away. So hyphen used to join words that work together. Well-known theory, long-term effects. And dashes should be limited to the insertion of an explanatory comment in a sentence. So dashes used to add emphasis or extra explanation. Example of dashes. The findings support on conclusion. The treatment works. There is a lot of example of punctuation, but I give you at least 3. And that's all for today, and thank you.
Hello. This presentation covers the essential structure for writing a socio-political analysis paper. We will look at its definition in the 3 main parts: the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. Socio-political analysis paper. A socio-political analysis paper is defined as an analysis of the economic, social, and political factors that shape a particular country or situation. So what is this paper? It's a study that breaks down a situation by looking at the money, people, and power factors involved. For example, you might analyze how youth unemployment and social media usage led to a new political movement. The goal is to use this analysis to propose effective solutions. A clear introduction. A clear introduction begins by orienting the reader to the problem or question. culminating in the thesis statement. The problem refers to the wider subject or more specific argument in a politically relevant context. The thesis is an argumentative statement, not a fact, typically one or two sentences, taking a form that one must accomplish. And lastly, the roadmap follows the thesis, reviewing the paper's main points in logical order to establish coherence. So, the introduction must be clear. It guides the reader to the paper's core, establishing the problem, which is the wider socio-political issue. Crucially, the thesis is presented as an argumentative claim, not a simple observation. Stating what you intend to prove. Following this, the roadmap acts as a preview, outlining the paper's structure and ensuring logical progression of ideas for the reader. Next is a well-organized body. The body proves the thesis using analysis and evidence. Following the roadmap structure, each point must connect logically. You must address counter-arguments, ideas that disagree with you, and then prove they are wrong. This strengthens your own defense. For example, if you argue for raising taxes, address the counter-argument that it will harm small businesses, and then show evidence proving the long-term benefit outweighed the initial harm. So, the body is the main part where you use facts and research to prove your thesis. You must handle counter arguments. For example, if you argue for a new tax, you must mention the opposing view that it will harm small businesses. Then you show proof that this harm is small and that your tax plan has better long economic benefits. A strong conclusion. The conclusion summarizes the main ideas and reinforces the argument. It must not simply copy the introduction. It draws a final conclusion from the evidence. Most importantly, it must include suggested actions or solutions. So, the conclusion summarizes your main points and confirms your arguments one last time. The most important part is the recommendation. You must suggest a specific, real-world solution based on your paper. For example, if your paper was about tax policy, you would end up by recommending a concrete three-tiered tax increase policy to fund public education. This gives your analysis practical impact.
Good morning everyone, my name is Rolex Balaes and my topics for today is position paper. A position paper aims to generate support for a specific issue by outlining the author's or organization's stance and the rationale behind it. A position paper presents an arguable opinion about an issue. The goal of position paper is to convince audience that your opinion is valid and worth listening to. We have 3 guidelines for writing a position paper. First is introduction, second is body, and third is conclusion. A clear introduction introduces the problem, provides background, and presents the main position. The introduction is first impression, its job to grab the reader's interest and provide roadmap for what is coming next. It's typically moved from general information to specific arguments. The clever hook. Start the introduction with an engaging statement to capture the reader's attention. The clever hook is the very first sentence of your writing. Its only job to grab the reader's attention, so they don't stop reading. If the first sentence is boring, the reader assumes the rest of the essay will be too. The identified issue, the third part of the introduction that highlights and interprets facts related to the main issues. Once you have the reader attention, you cannot just jump straight to your opinion. You must explain the context. These sections define the problem, controversy, or debate that makes the topic worth writing about. The author's position. The introduction ends with a solid thesis statement that acts as mini outlines for the paper. This is usually the final sentence of the introduction. This is where you stop being neutral and clearly state your side of the argument. It tells the reader exactly what you are going to prove in the body paragraphs. The example of introduction. The second is body. A well-organized body. The body of a paper follows the introduction and serves as the central section for developing and defending the thesis with details evidence. The body is the longest part of your writing. This is where you actually prove the claim you made in your thesis statement. It is usually divided into multiple paragraphs. The typical contents of a good position paper. This is the example of the body. The last guidelines of writing a position paper is conclusion. A conclusion is the final section of a paper where you restate the main ideas by summarizing key arguments without repeating the introduction or body. Conclusion is the final paragraphs or section of your works that serve to bring all ideas together, reinforce your central argument, and leave the reader with a strong lasting impression.
A research document is a piece of writing in which the authors incorporate information such as facts, arguments, and opinions taken from the writings of authorities in a particular field. A research-based document is a type of writing to use information from credible sources such as books, articles, studies, experts, and etc. Combine facts, arguments, and opinions from these sources. Use the information to support your own main idea or thesis about a topic. Guidance for writing 1. To write strong research-based document, you must understand the structure and purpose of each part. First is the clear introduction. The introduction should introduce the problem or topic, give background, and help the reader understand the essay is about. Second is the present the main position. In with the thesis statement, a clear sentence stating your argument. It is often includes there's a type of introduction. First is the clever hook. Clever hook starts the introduction with an engaging statement to capture the reader's attention. So the clever hook, an engaging opening to catch the reader's attention. And the second is the identified issue. Identified issue, the third part of the introduction that highlights and interprets facts related to the main issue. So the identified issue, a description of the main issue the essay will focus on. The third one is the author's position. The introduction ends with a solid thesis statement that acts a mini outline for the paper. So the author's position, your thesis, your specific argument or stance. And the second is the well-organized body. So the well-organized body, this is the nerve center or the most important part of the paper. A typical body includes multiple arguments, each supported by first piece of evidence, synthesize information from authorities on the topic. identifies the gaps or issues supported by data, interviews, or studies. And the second piece of evidence, more support from reliable source showing why your argument is valid. You may also include counter-argument, a viewpoint opposing yours, and refutation, using evidence to prove the opposing argument is weak or incorrect. And the last is a strong conclusion. The conclusion is the last part of the essay. Here you should state the main ideas, not summarize the key arguments from the body. Draw a final conclusion based on all the information you discuss, other recommendations or possible solutions if applicable. The conclusion should leave the reader with sense of completion and understanding. In summary, a research-based document essay introduces the problem and your thesis. Second, explain and support your thesis using evidence from trusted source. Third, address opposing views and proves them with facts. Fourth, concludes by tying everything together and offering insights of recommendations.